When you're truly committed to your personal growth, you'll eventually realize that everything comes down to a powerful force called Shakti, or the energy that drives all of life. This energy is often referred to as Cha. All the goals you're striving for, all the experiences you seek, it's not about giving up on them or deciding to do without them. The beauty of real spirituality is that it allows you to achieve everything you've ever genuinely desired. However, the problem is that most people don't really know what they want. Deep down, the only thing everyone truly desires are to be happy. No matter the situation or circumstance, we all just want to feel joy and love. We don't want to feel fear or anxiety. We want to feel okay, to have a sense that everything in our lives is in order. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be at peace, to feel okay, and to live without anything troubling you. To always feel love and joy as you go through life is something natural to want. This is what your soul craves, and there's nothing you can do to change that. But here's where things get tricky. This deep yearning for peace and happiness often gets handed over to the mind. The mind is the easiest place for us to go when we try to figure things out. We rely on it to help us find peace and love, but that's where the mistake lies. This is the root of all errors, and it's the reason for much of our suffering. When we have this intense desire to feel okay, to find peace, and we turn to our minds for answers, we start asking ourselves, what should I do? How can I make this happen? We treat our minds like they're all-knowing, like they're the ultimate guides in life. But in reality, the mind isn't as wise as we think. It only knows what it's been taught, what it's experienced, and what it's been programmed to do. So when you ask your mind how to achieve peace and happiness, it digs into its memories and experiences and it starts coming up with solutions. You need to get married. You need to have another child. You need to make more money. You need to lose weight. Or you need to change your job. The mind is an answer machine, constantly coming up with ideas. But the problem is, it often gives you so many answers that you end up confused and unsure of what to do. You might find yourself thinking, I need to get married and divorced, have children and not have children. The mind will suggest all kinds of contradictory things because it's just trying to find something that it thinks will work for you. It's really interesting when you slow down and think about the process of shopping for clothes. Imagine you walk into a clothing store looking for something new to wear. You pick out some clothes, head to the fitting room and try them on. Now, I've seen how people do this, both men and women. It's not something that only one gender does. There are those big mirrors, sometimes three-way mirrors that let you see yourself from the front, back and sides. You stand on a little platform checking yourself out from every angle, doing what we all do when we're about to buy clothes. But what's really going on when you stand there, looking at yourself in the mirror? It's not just about checking if the clothes fit. You can tell right away if something is too tight or too loose. That part is easy. You feel it immediately. But something deeper and more interesting is happening while you're in front of those mirrors. Without even realizing it, you're absorbing the image of yourself and processing it through your entire judgment system. This involves your heart, your emotions, and your overall feelings to see how the clothes make you feel. If, while looking in that mirror, you feel a sense of warmth, your heart opens up, and you feel good about yourself, you might say, I like this outfit. But the truth is, it's not really the outfit that you like. What you're actually enjoying is the good feeling that the outfit has triggered inside you. That outfit might make you feel great in that moment, but it could end up hanging in your closet for months, never worn again, because it doesn't give you the same feeling the next time you try it on. This is where people often get confused. Instead of understanding that what they really love is the feeling of well-being, the sense of rightness, they mistakenly associate those good feelings with the clothes or other objects. There's nothing wrong with this, but it's important to realize that the same outfit or object may not make you feel the same way next time. If you pay close attention to what actually made you feel that sense of openness, warmth, and well-being when you looked in the mirror, you might find that it has as much to do with things like what you ate the night before as it does with the outfit itself. Maybe you're feeling great because you had a good meal, or maybe something someone said to you the day before is still on your mind, affecting how you feel. Many different factors influence how you feel when you see yourself in those clothes, whether it's the weather outside, the light in the room, or your mood at the moment. If it's sunny and light is streaming through the windows, you might feel more positive, but if it's cloudy and rainy and you're feeling a bit down, those same clothes might not give you that same feeling of joy or excitement. Feelings are constantly changing. One day something makes you feel one way, the next day it might make you feel completely different. So how can you make any solid decisions based on these shifting feelings? The only thing you can be sure of is that deep down, underneath everything, is the desire to feel okay. No matter what the situation is, what you really want is to feel open, loved, peaceful, and full of inner enthusiasm and well-being. If something makes you feel that way, your mind tells you that's what you need to keep feeling that way, and it will keep telling you this over and over again. So think about how your mind works. It takes all your past experiences, everything you've been through, and uses that to come up with ideas about what you need to do, what others need to do, and how things should be for you to feel the way you want to feel. Your mind is constantly trying to figure out what needs to happen so you can experience happiness, peace, love, or whatever it is you're seeking. But here's the thing. That's the mistake most people make. When yoga says, you can have what you want, it's not talking about material things or specific situations. What it really means is that you can have inner peace, love, joy, enthusiasm, and a deep sense of well-being from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to bed. And you can feel that way every single day without worrying about anything. Imagine waking up and feeling that sense of calm and happiness without having to stress about what you need to do or how things should be. That's the real gift you can give yourself. Now imagine being able to live like this no matter what happens around you. That's a priceless gift. If you want to give someone a truly valuable gift, package this feeling and hand it to them. The truth is, you have the right to live this way. But the problem is, the method you're using right now won't get you there. The method you're using involves going to your mind and asking, what needs to happen for me to feel this way? And when you do that, your mind starts coming up with all kinds of ideas based on your past, like a movie it once saw or something that happened years ago. For example, your mind might think, when was the last time I was truly happy? Oh, it was during my honeymoon. Maybe I need to have another honeymoon. Let's go back to Niagara Falls. But the chances that you'll feel the same way when you go back to Niagara Falls are very low. Sure, you can try to recreate the experience, but the things that made it special the first time, like the newness, the excitement, aren't the same anymore. You can't rely on your mind to tell you what to do to feel better, to feel safer, or to feel more open. But that's what most people do. They go to their mind for answers. So your mind comes up with a solution, and then you spend your time and energy trying to make it happen. But this is what leads to suffering. Why? Because first of all, it's nearly impossible to make the world exactly the way you want it to be. You've been through enough to know that it's really hard to get everything just right. And here's the kicker. Even if you somehow manage to create that perfect situation, it still won't make you happy. Let's say you get everything just the way your mind says it needs to be so you can feel safe and secure. You might think you'll finally stop feeling scared, but the truth is, you'll still feel scared. The happiness or safety you were chasing won't be there, even if you do everything your mind tells you to. Have you noticed this pattern in your life? How often has your mind told you, if only this one thing happens, I'll be okay? But think about it. Has that ever really made you feel okay? Probably not. Even when something does go your way, you might feel good for a short while, maybe 20 seconds, and then your mind immediately shifts to something else you need to be happy. It's like nothing is ever enough. Take relationships, for example. It starts with wanting someone to love you. Then it's, I want them to love me and never talk to anyone else. Then, I want us to get married. But it doesn't stop there. Now it's, I want them to get a well-paying job so we can have kids. It's always something more, isn't it? There's always a new condition that has to be met before you feel secure or satisfied. The same goes for fear and insecurity. When you're scared or feeling insecure, you start thinking, what can I do to feel safe? But the truth is, anything you latch onto for security only becomes another source of fear. For example, if you rely on someone to make you feel secure, you end up worrying about losing that person. Your fear just shifts from one thing to another. Remember, you can't eliminate fear by trying to control things. If you're afraid something might happen and you take steps to prevent it, how do you know something else won't go wrong? Or that it won't happen later? The mind is never satisfied. It might say, she apologized, so it's okay now. But then it immediately asks, did she really mean it? What if she does it again? The truth is, you'll never know what's going to happen. And if your mind keeps creating conditions that must be met for you to stop being afraid, you're in for a rough time. Chasing after those conditions will never truly free you from fear. That's not how you overcome fear, by addressing every little problem that pops up. It's always about something deeper than the surface issues. This is where real spiritual growth begins. You start to realize that your mind isn't actually helping you. It pretends to be helpful, constantly coming up with things for you to do, but none of those things ever bring you lasting peace or happiness. If it's not one problem, it's another. Can you recall a time in your life when you didn't have any problems? Probably not. The mind just shifts its focus from one issue to the next, never giving you a break. At some point, you have to see the truth. Your mind is not the solution to your problems. It's not going to deliver the peace or security you're seeking. That realization is a key step toward real spiritual growth and freedom. You need to reach a point where you dig deeper and say to yourself, I have the right to be happy, to feel joy, to experience love, and to be enthusiastic. I don't have to live in fear. This is important, and I want you to say it to yourself. This is where you begin, and the truth is, you are fully capable of achieving this state of being all the time. Your life shouldn't be about constantly trying to make things happen, just so you can be happy. Happiness should come naturally, and you should be able to enjoy life for what it is. Similarly, your life shouldn't be about trying to avoid fear, insecurity, or anxiety. You should live without fear and find joy in the process of living. This is your responsibility, to cultivate a life where you're not driven by fear or a sense of lack. Because if your actions are motivated by fear, then fear is running your life. Instead, you should feel whole and complete within yourself at all times. When you do this, you'll find that joy arises spontaneously from within. From that place of inner fullness, you can then ask yourself, what do I want to do today? How can I use this positive energy? Maybe you'll want to spend time with someone special, pursue a new project, or simply have fun. But the key is, you won't be doing these things out of need, just pure enjoyment. Needs, in this context, aren't natural. They are like symptoms of an illness. You actually don't have any true needs when it comes to your emotional or psychological state. You are already whole and complete as you are. When your inner energy is flowing freely, you're so full of love that you don't need love from others to feel complete. Does this mean you shouldn't have relationships? Absolutely not. Relationships can be wonderful because they allow you to share the abundance of love that's already within you. But the difference is that you won't need a relationship to feel loved or complete. And if you ever find yourself in a relationship where you don't need the other person, that's when the relationship becomes truly meaningful. It's just a joyful experience of sharing what's already thriving inside of you. Whether the other person stays or leaves won't affect you because you're whole and complete within yourself. The same goes for your work. When you approach a job, it's not about needing the job to feel fulfilled. You work because you want to express yourself and contribute. If your work is appreciated, great. If not, it's okay because your sense of self-worth doesn't depend on it. You have no emotional or psychological needs that rely on external validation. This is the foundation of a fulfilling life, and it's also the foundation of spiritual growth. As long as you're out there trying to get something to fill a void, there's nothing spiritual happening. True spiritual growth begins when you realize, I am whole and complete within myself, and something inside me is blocking me from fully experiencing that truth. I need to work on that. Your life becomes about removing those inner obstacles, and it has nothing to do with changing anything outside of yourself. You use every moment of life, every second of every day, to get rid of the parts of you that keep you from experiencing the deeper part of your being that is always okay. Let me say it again. There is a part of your being that is always okay, no matter what. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. Even if you think you're the worst person who ever lived, you're not. Nothing you've done, or will ever do, can taint the part of you that is whole and complete. That part of you is beyond everything happening in this world and everything going on in your mind. Once you understand this, you understand what spiritual growth is all about. It's about reconnecting with that part of your being. It's not about anything outside of you. All of your work is internal between you and yourself. It has nothing to do with anyone else. When you realize that you don't have to depend on others for your happiness or growth, it's incredibly freeing. Many people often say things like, I want to grow, but my child or my spouse or this situation is holding me back. But the truth is, nothing outside of you is truly holding you back. Every experience in life is there to help you grow the moment you understand that it's about removing the parts of yourself that are keeping you from going deeper within. So, how do you start this process? We already know how to get lost in our thoughts and emotions. The first step is recognizing that you're not okay. This is easy to notice because something inside or outside of you is constantly reminding you that things aren't great. Whether it's your heart, your mind, or someone else pointing it out, you get this reminder regularly. When this happens, what do you usually do? You go straight to your mind. You start thinking about how to fix the problem, right? You might hear your mind offering advice like, don't do this, or maybe you should try that. Your mind might suggest, take a vacation, or maybe this new idea will make things better. You know you've gone to your mind for answers when it's busy coming up with solutions, telling you what to do or where to go. It's like trying on different clothes, hoping one will make you feel good. Your mind will present you with various ideas, like going on a trip, taking separate vacations, or even going on a second honeymoon. It'll throw out dozens of options in seconds, and when one of these ideas gives you a momentary sense of relief or excitement, it feels like trying on an outfit that makes you feel amazing. But don't be fooled into thinking that just because a thought made you feel good, it will solve your deeper problems. The truth is, your thoughts alone won't fix the real issues. Your problems run deeper, which is why you went to your mind in the first place. The mind isn't equipped to solve the deeper issues of the heart and soul. This is a big realization, understanding that turning to your mind to solve emotional or spiritual problems is a dead end. Your mind will keep trying to come up with solutions, and when they don't work, it will only become more frantic, leaving you wondering why nothing is helping. So what's the alternative? The alternative is real spiritual growth. And this is where things get truly profound. Real spiritual growth means looking inside yourself and acknowledging that something isn't right. Ask yourself, why am I not okay all the time? Most people never even consider that they should feel okay all the time. Just like we understand that our bodies should generally be healthy, we should also realize that our psyche, the inner part of us, should be naturally healthy and at peace. You shouldn't have to constantly worry about your psychological well-being. Imagine being in a state where you don't have to worry, think too much, or figure everything out. You don't have to make decisions out of fear or anxiety. You just feel fine. Unfortunately, most people's psyches have never been in this peaceful state. Instead, their minds are constantly running, thinking, worrying, and battling with everything around them. So why is it like this inside? That's the real question you need to ask. Not what should I do about it, but why is it this way inside of me? The Western way of thinking often teaches us to fix things externally, but deeper spiritual teachings tell us to look within. When you notice something isn't right inside, you don't need to jump to action. Instead, you should explore why it feels that way. You are whole and complete within yourself, so why don't you feel that way? This is where the real work begins, working with yourself, not by fixing external situations, but by understanding and addressing what's going on inside of you. Imagine starting with the understanding that everything inside of you should naturally be okay, without you needing to do anything extra. This is a powerful idea, and it might be something you've never really considered before. But it's true. That's how things are supposed to be. You're already complete and whole within yourself. If it doesn't feel that way, then something isn't right. The issue is inside of you, not outside. Let me take it a step further. Your natural state is one where you are always okay, no matter what happens around you. It doesn't matter if someone close to you passes away, if someone says something hurtful, if your financial situation changes, or if any other external event occurs. None of that should affect your inner peace. You are whole and complete within yourself, unconditionally. This is what it means to truly be yourself. You are a powerful being, but there's something blocking you from fully realizing this. The veil of your mind, your psyche. Now you have to make a choice. Do you want to continue letting this veil control your life? Or do you want to remove it and return to that deep part of yourself where you are always whole and complete, no matter what? Once you choose to remove this veil, you can engage with life however you wish. Get married, build wealth, pursue your dreams, do whatever you want. But don't do it because you think it will fix something inside of you. It won't. Many people today are interested in natural healing and holistic approaches, avoiding the quick fixes that modern medicine often offers because they understand that these methods don't truly heal. They just cover up symptoms, hiding the real issues beneath. Think of it this way. You might recognize that something is wrong inside of you, but instead of dealing with it directly, you look for distractions, whether it's a new relationship, a job change, a vacation, or something else. These distractions are like taking a pill to cover up symptoms. You're trying to suppress that feeling of unease inside, just like medication might mask physical symptoms without addressing the root cause. But this approach is flawed. Just as those pills won't truly heal you, these external distractions won't fix what's wrong inside. The real problem lies deeper, within yourself. And to solve it, you need to confront it directly, without relying on external solutions. You need to recognize that you are already whole and complete, and that the discomfort you feel is a sign that something inside needs attention. You have to decide that you don't want to keep running away from this inner issue. You want to face it head on, no matter how challenging or painful it might be. This process doesn't require money. It requires a willingness to go through whatever internal changes are necessary to cleanse what's blocking your wholeness. This realization changes your relationship with the outside world. The world is just something to interact with, to have fun with. But it doesn't define you. Whether you engage with it or not, it remains the same. The only reason it seems to affect you is because you're trying to use it to fix something inside of you. But you shouldn't need to do that. Instead, you should wake up each day with a sense of joy and enthusiasm, ready to enjoy life, knowing that your true well-being comes from within. Now, how do you actually work on yourself? A good way to start is by challenging yourself with this idea. I am whole and complete within myself. I am capable of feeling joy and enthusiasm no matter what happens in life. Everything outside is just a game, something to engage with for fun. But let's be honest, you probably don't feel this way right now, and that's okay. The key is to look inside and ask yourself why you don't feel this way. You'll start to notice parts of yourself that you might not want to see, parts that are needy, scared, or troubled. These feelings often surface when things go wrong, and instead of facing them, you might blame others for making you feel this way. Sometimes these feelings stay hidden, but you know they're there, just beneath the surface. All it takes is someone saying the wrong thing, or something not going as planned, and suddenly those uncomfortable feelings rise up again. Many people spend their entire lives running away from these parts of themselves, but true growth comes from facing them and working through them. True spiritual growth is about stopping, taking a deep breath, and deciding to face what's inside you. It's about making the choice to stop running from yourself and your fears. Imagine saying to yourself, "I only have this one life, and I refuse to spend it being afraid of who I am. I will not live in fear of my own thoughts, feelings, or insecurities, and from this moment on, I will never again expect another person to change just so I can feel okay." This is the essence of real spiritual growth. Think about it. Why would you want someone else to change just to make you feel better? If your sense of peace or happiness depends on someone else, then you're giving away your power. You are already whole and complete within yourself. Your well-being shouldn't rely on another person's actions, words, or behavior. It's something that comes from within you, not from the outside. When you truly embrace this idea, it changes how you interact with others. You become more enjoyable to be around, because you're no longer trying to control or manipulate others to fit your needs. Instead, you start to notice the part of yourself that always says, "I can't be okay unless this happens," or "I won't be all right until that person does what I want." This part of you is always waiting for something or someone to make you feel better. But now, you can look at it and recognize it for what it is, a lie. You've spent your whole life chasing after this false sense of security, thinking that if you just get this or that, you'll finally be okay. But the truth is, you've never met anyone who's truly complete and whole, just by chasing after things outside of themselves. So you make a decision. I'm not going to do this anymore. Imagine a situation where your mind starts to panic, telling you, "Don't let them do that. If they do this, it's going to ruin everything." Maybe it's about your partner spending time with friends instead of you, or someone not behaving the way you want them to. Your mind starts to get controlling and manipulative, trying to force things to go your way. But for the first time, you look at it and say, "No." And when your mind asks, "No what?" you simply say, "No, we're not going there. We're not going to try to control this situation or person." Your heart might start racing, and you might feel like you're in a whirlwind of emotions. This is where the real spiritual growth happens. Instead of giving in to the panic or trying to control the situation, you just relax. You let go, even in the midst of all the noise and chaos inside you. This is your growth, learning to hold on to the deeper, more peaceful part of yourself, no matter what's happening around you. You might wonder how to tell the difference between the deeper part of yourself and the shallower part. But deep down, everyone knows. Even if you've never read a book on spirituality or attended a lecture, you can tell the difference. The deeper part of you is the one that calmly observes, while the shallower part is the one making all the noise, throwing tantrums, and making demands. When you're aware of your thoughts, feelings, and reactions, you realize that if you're watching these things happen, then you're not those things. You are the observer. Think about it. When you're about to react, maybe you're about to get angry or demand something from someone, aren't you aware of it before you act? Of course you are. Every single one of us is aware. So why not make a rule for yourself? From this moment on, never again will you follow the shallower part of your being. Don't try to wean yourself off it slowly. Just make the decision. I will stay in the deeper part of myself, the part that can see what's going on, and I will let go of the noise and the chaos every single time, no matter what. Even if it feels like it's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done, you will stay centered in your true self and let go of everything else. This is the path to true spiritual growth. Imagine what would happen if you truly let go of the parts of yourself that hold you back. If you stopped letting the shallow, noisy parts of your being, those parts that constantly complain, need, and manipulate, control your life, you would experience real spiritual growth. Growing spiritually means living from a deeper place within yourself, not being swayed by the surface-level, darker aspects of your personality that are always grabbing for something outside of you to feel okay. You don't need to know exactly where you're going or have everything figured out. All you need to do is let go of the parts of yourself that aren't okay, the parts that cause you to feel unsettled, anxious, or unhappy. You might wonder how to become okay. The answer is surprisingly simple: by letting go of the parts of you that aren't okay. It's like peeling away layers until you reach the quiet, peaceful part inside that's always been there. This quiet observer within you, the one that watches everything unfold without getting caught up in it, is the part that's truly okay. It might not seem like this quiet watching part could be the key to peace, but it is. If you keep letting go of the loud, demanding parts of yourself, the parts that want to control everything, you'll naturally find yourself in a state of peace, because at your core, you are peace. The highest part of you is the one that simply observes, without getting involved in the drama. When we talk about getting real, this is what we mean. It's about digging deep and connecting with the part of you that's real, the part that's always okay, no matter what's happening on the surface. You don't need to go through some elaborate process or therapy to reach this place. You are capable of handling everything life throws at you from this deep, true place within yourself right now, under any circumstances. You might hear people say, "Take it slow," or "Don't push yourself too hard," but this is your life. One day, it will come to an end, and you don't want to look back and realize you spent it not being okay. Wouldn't you rather be okay all the time? Wouldn't you rather enjoy life no matter what happens? If you're getting married, enjoy it. If you're going through a divorce, find a way to learn from it. If you're healthy, appreciate it. And if you get sick, use it as an opportunity to learn about yourself. Why not make the most of whatever comes your way? Life is short, and you're guaranteed it will end one day, so why not have fun and be okay until then? Think of it like quitting smoking. How do you stop? You just stop. You don't need nicotine patches or other aids. You simply decide, "I will never pick up another cigarette," and then you don't. Yes, you'll feel urges and cravings, but you're capable of resisting them. You have the strength to do it. Society might treat you like you're not capable, like you need all these crutches to get through life, but you are capable. You're not a wuss. You have the power to change your habits, to let go of what's holding you back, and to live from the deepest, most authentic part of yourself. It might not be easy or fun, but it's possible. And that's where true spiritual growth happens, when you stop settling for the shallow parts of yourself and start living from a place of peace and strength within. Imagine a moment when you feel a strong urge, like an energy inside of you pushing you to follow an old habit. It's like your whole being wants to go in that familiar direction. Now ask yourself, are you capable of resisting that urge? The answer is a resounding yes. You are so capable that it almost feels too simple to even talk about. The key is to just not give in. You recognize that feeling, that pull, but you choose not to follow it. This approach applies to more than just physical habits. It's the same with the thoughts and emotions that arise within you. When your mind starts telling you what needs to happen for you to be okay, or when your heart begins to panic, making you feel like you'll suffer forever, you have a choice. Your mind might dramatize everything like a mix of soap operas playing out in your head, but you don't have to buy into it. You don't have to listen. Instead, you can look at those thoughts and emotions and remind yourself that they're just energy moving inside of you. They're not as powerful as they seem. It's like saying to yourself, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but emotions can't truly hurt me." Challenge those feelings. Invite them to do their worst, because deep down, you know you can handle it. It's just energy, after all. Don't be afraid of yourself. Don't ever belittle yourself by thinking you can't handle what's happening inside of you. The truth is, you can handle anything and everything, as long as you want to. And here's the best part. You don't have to do anything extraordinary. I'm not asking you to lift 1,000 pounds. I'm just asking you to sit there. If your heart or mind wants to make noise, let it. Let your heart throw everything it has at you while you sit calmly, maybe even focusing on your breathing or a mantra. What you'll find is that you're no longer afraid of your own heart. Why should you be afraid of your heart anyway? Are you afraid of the fears, jealousies, insecurities, or embarrassment that it might bring up? It's because of this fear that you spend so much of your life trying to avoid those feelings. But that's a waste of your time. When you go out of your way to avoid embarrassment, insecurity, or fear, you're essentially saying, "I can't face my own feelings, so I'm going to spend my life avoiding them." You might manipulate situations or people to keep those uncomfortable feelings at bay. But is that really how you want to live? A life spent avoiding yourself is a life not fully lived. You are much greater than that. At some point, hopefully now, you decide, enough is enough. It's like deciding to quit smoking. You make a firm choice. You say, "I'm not going to waste my life being afraid of myself anymore." Understand this. You're not afraid of the world. You're afraid of your own feelings. But now you make the choice to face them head on. You decide that whatever comes up in your heart, you'll relax and let it go. Whatever thoughts arise in your mind, you'll relax and let them pass. You make a promise to yourself that you won't blame anyone or anything outside of yourself for what's happening inside of you. No more blame, no more shame. You're ready to go through whatever you need to go through without fear, without embarrassment, and without placing blame on others. This is the path to true self-mastery. It's about taking full responsibility for your inner world and knowing that you have the power to handle anything that comes your way. So we're finally getting somewhere, aren't we? When you really start to grow spiritually, everything about your life changes in a big way. It's not like the world around you suddenly looks different. Everything on the outside stays the same. But on the inside, deep down, everything shifts. Your whole reason for living, the way you see your life, and how you approach everything you do goes through a complete transformation. You sit there and you make a decision. You say to yourself, "If I've only got this one life to live, then I'm going to live it free." But here's the kicker. Real freedom isn't about being free from other people. No, the real deal is about being free from your own self, from all the things inside you that hold you back. See, the truth is you don't need to be free from other people. They're not doing anything to you. The only reason it feels like they are is because you've got this idea in your head that they need to be a certain way for you to feel okay. And when you talk about freedom, what you really mean is, I want to be free to make them act the way I want them to. But that's just plain ridiculous. What you really need is freedom from your own fears and insecurities, freedom from the ways you hold yourself back. You've got this one life to live, so you decide to really live it. That means every single morning when you wake up, you remind yourself, the world is what it is. It has nothing to do with me. The world was doing its thing even while I was sleeping. And that's the crazy part. How come it doesn't freak you out that while you were knocked out cold, the world kept on spinning without you running the show? You let the world do its thing when you're asleep, so why can't you let it do the same when you're awake? It's a real mind bender, isn't it? Think about it. When you're sleeping, you're not in charge of anything, right? So why do you feel like you've got to control everything the moment you open your eyes? I've challenged you on this before. You think, if I see it, I've got to control it. But the truth is, if you don't see it, you don't feel the need to control it. And that's just plain weird. You don't try to control what's happening behind your back, or in other cities or on other planets. But when something's right in front of you, you think it's got to be exactly how you want it to be. You should sit with that thought for a while. There's something seriously messed up with that way of thinking. So, when you wake up in the morning, you tell yourself, I don't need to control this world. I don't need to expect anything from anyone or anything, no matter what the situation is. Every person, every place, every tiny little creature is free to be exactly what it is by its very nature. And you know what? You can work with that. If there's a bug in the house, you just sweep it out. I'm not saying you should just let things run wild, but the point is, you can handle anything that happens in this world, anything, no matter how tough it gets. The worst that can happen is it might stir up some old, unsettled feelings in your heart or mind, but you can deal with that. Here's your new way of talking to yourself. I can handle anything at all, whether it's going on in my heart or my mind. Why don't you start talking to yourself like that? They should teach this kind of self-talk in kindergarten, so by the time you're grown, you're not afraid of your own self. And then, let's say something does come up. Your heart starts to get all stirred up. What do? You relax your shoulders, you ease up your chest, and you lean back. You'll notice this urge to lean forward and get all caught up in whatever's happening. Don't do it. Just don't. If you leave it alone, whatever's bothering you will just pass by. If you don't get involved, those feelings and thoughts can't touch you. You just keep on relaxing. Keep on letting go, relaxing and letting go. And you know what will happen? Over time, you'll find yourself staying back, behind your heart and mind, more and more. You'll realize that no matter what happens, nothing can ever pull you down again. That's when you'll start really enjoying life. You'll stop being scared of anything. It's an amazing feeling, that kind of freedom. And the best part? You have it in you to live like that, right inside you. The life you're living right now, exactly as it is, you don't need to change anything or anyone around you. The key is not letting the lower parts of your being, those less evolved or negative aspects of yourself, take control of your life. How do you do that? You do it by letting go of all the stuff that comes up, the fears, the worries, the insecurities. That's what true spirituality is all about. And trust me, this process is absolutely incredible. But here's the thing, it's so powerful and so real that most people won't teach it, because a lot of folks just don't want to hear it. Instead, what people usually get are these little tips and tricks like, if you do this, you'll feel better, or do that and you'll be happier. These are just small things that give you a temporary sense of feeling good about yourself, but they don't give you the full truth. Now let me tell you what I believe. You are capable of living at the highest level right now, in this very moment. You have it in you to reach the greatest spiritual heights. But the problem is, you don't want to push yourself that far. You don't want to hold yourself to that standard. Why? Why would you choose to be weak? You're not weak. You're the strongest thing there is. You are the greatest creation that exists. You are at the top of the evolutionary ladder. You are something truly amazing, and your soul is even greater than your human self. That's who you really are. So why not live like that? Why not just push through the struggles, face them head on, and keep moving forward? Yes, you're going to stumble and fall plenty of times. So what happens if you set these big goals for yourself, and you don't quite make it? You get up. That's what you do. You just get up. And if you find yourself feeling bad because you tripped up, you let that feeling go. Don't hold on to it. It's important to always cultivate a sense of inner health and well-being inside yourself. Do the very best you can to reach the highest state you can even imagine, and don't be scared to aim high. Every time you fall down, pick yourself back up, and don't dwell on it, ever. You don't need to apologize to anyone. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to do anything other than keep going. The fact that you're even reaching for these beautiful high states of being, that alone gives you the right to pick yourself up and move forward without looking back. You don't blame others, and you definitely don't blame yourself. The only question you need to ask is, am I aiming for the highest? And let me tell you, the highest is you. The highest is the deepest, most authentic part of your being, the part that refuses to give in to the lower, less evolved aspects of yourself. You don't have to fight against these lower parts, and you don't need to get rid of them. You just let them go when they rise up inside you. Do you get that? It's not about being strong or having control. It's about letting go. It's about being soft. It's about surrendering. You let these energies, these thoughts, these emotions come up, and then you let them pass through you. Then they're gone. That thing that seems like it's the biggest problem in the world, the thing that feels like it's going to completely overwhelm you. I don't know anyone who hasn't experienced this. It looks huge, but then you relax, you let it go, and guess what? It goes away. It just dissolves, and suddenly it's not as big of a deal as you thought. The real problem is your resistance to these energies. When you resist, you let them build up inside you, making things much harder. But if you just relax, step back, and give these energies the space to flow through you, they won't touch you at all. They'll just pass by, and you'll be free from them. So what we're talking about here is the beginning of your spiritual journey. This is just the start, not the finish line. As you go through this process over and over again, you become what you might call a veteran, a seasoned traveler on this path. You've been through enough of these experiences that you naturally start to live in a way that feels completely natural. You're not forcing anything. You're not trying hard. It just becomes a part of who you are. You might not even realize it, but you reach a place deep inside yourself where nothing, neither your heart nor your mind nor the outside world, can touch you. It's like you've found a safe, peaceful place within yourself. Now, the more time you spend in that place, the more something powerful starts to awaken inside of you. As you keep going down this path, an energy that you're not used to feeling starts to rise up. This energy comes from deep within you, from a place behind all the struggles you face in the world. Everything you've been dealing with is in front of you, but this energy is behind you. It starts to open up and flow through you. This is what people mean when they talk about spirit or Shakti. This powerful energy, which is really just your true self, begins to make itself known. It's like you're getting closer to who you really are. And because of that, you start to feel this incredible energy, this sunlight, this burning heat and power coming from within you. That's what Shakti is. That's what spirit is. It's your own energy, your own true being that you haven't been fully aware of. But once you start tuning into it, it begins to lift you up. This isn't something you do through sheer willpower. No, this happens because you allow that energy to take you higher. You surrender to it, you let go, and it pulls you upward on your spiritual journey. That's the path you're on, your spiritual path. So you've got a choice here. You can either live a life that's magical, full of wonder, where every day becomes more exciting, and you become a greater version of yourself with each passing moment. Or you can live a life where you're constantly running around, scared of everything and everyone, worrying about things that don't really matter, and trying to control stuff that isn't going to work out anyway. Now let's say you choose this spiritual path. What kind of life will you have? Not just a decent life. You'll have a life that's better than just decent. As you tap into this energy inside you, you'll find yourself full of enthusiasm, full of love, and you'll be fully devoted to whatever it is you're doing. And you won't be doing it for any reason other than because you've let go of the part of you that didn't want to do it. You'll be great at your job. You'll be great in your relationships. You'll excel at everything you do. You'll be the best at it, because most people don't live like this. They don't give their whole being to what they're doing. And that, right there, is what it means to be a yogi. That's what yoga is all about. The state I just described is the essence of karma yoga, Raja yoga. It's the heart of all the yogas combined. You sit in that higher state of being, and you let go of the lower, more negative parts of yourself. You stay in that higher place, letting go of the lower, and you serve everything that comes your way while you're in that state. This audiobook inspired by Michael A. Singer. Thank you for listening.